Tag der Toten, Day of the Dead, the final ether map inside of Call of Duty Zombies and the final map inside of Black Ops 4 Zombies. This map to most people is honestly more in the middling towards the upper sections of the middle, but it should be noted that this map isn't despised or loved by people, it just falls in the middle. Does it deserve that spot? Well, let's get into it. Starting us off in the pro section is the aesthetic. The aesthetic in this map is fantastic. It's Call of the Dead, but it has a lot more warmth to it, I guess is a good analogy. Instead of having freezing winds and snow and fog, it's just a nice sunset with clearly melted snow all over the place, and it's just much nicer looking version of Call of the Dead in my opinion. We even have a Group 935 facility above the lighthouse, which is really cool as well. And like all the other reimaginings inside of Black Ops 4, we have new areas as well. We have a new spawn room. Of course, we have the Group 935 facility. We have a lot of map layout fixes, so it's easier to backtrack at certain spots. They did a very good job with the aesthetic and layout, in my opinion, because we actually have a new type of buildable as well. We have a new buildable called the Dynamite Pack. The Dynamite Pack is exactly what it says. It's a freaking dynamite, but it can actually blow up certain walls on the map that allow the map to be easier to traverse, because blowing up these barricades actually allow you to go through them, and the map loops into itself, creating a super free-flowing, fluid experience. The map is also littered with zip lines and flingers that has the entire map just blend into itself, and you're never too far from one part of the map, even if you're on the opposite side of it, especially with the chance of getting stamina from the free perk Easter egg, which also returns. Yeah, the free perk Easter egg also comes back from Alpha Omega. However, unlike a mannequin round, you actually get an electric zombie round, where actually a new type of enemies on this map. The electric zombies are very simple. What they do is when you kill them, they explode in electricity. And there's also a fire zombie, which behaves similarly to a napalm zombie, but they're a lot weaker, as they only have the health of a normal zombie. And that's everything for boss zombies, which I honestly thought is a pretty nice touch. It's clearly because of budgetary issues they couldn't have added in new boss zombies, but for what they did, honestly, I think it's pretty good. Another thing I think they did great on this map is with the Victus crew. Yes, we're not playing as Primus or Ultimus in this map, we're actually playing as Victus, with completely new character designs. The Victus crew look a lot better in this game than they did in Black Ops 2. Of course, you know, Black Ops 4 has better graphics than Black Ops 2, so that's one of the reasons, but their models are actually changed heavily. And I think all the character designs have been changed for the better. Not only the character designs improved, but their personalities have been honestly perfected in this map. Every single Victus character inside this map has some super funny one-liners, they have some super funny dialogue with each other, they have a lot of insight on the story, and like the Victus maps from Black Ops 2, you can actually hear Richtofen and Stuhlinger's head, which is just a really cool touch. And their dialogue in this map is super funny, super interesting, and there's even a bit of lore sprinkled into their conversations as well, which is always a nice touch.
Boathouse, huh? Lost my virginity in a boathouse.
It doesn't count if you were by yourself, Sammy.
All in all, Victus is fantastic, and while it does suck we can't play Primus and Ultimus, or imagine being able to play Primus, Ultimus, and Victus, for what they did with Victus, it's pretty good, as we can actually hear Primus Nikolai actually talk to us through the entirety of the map, and the map's main quest. Nikolai will give us hints, he'll tell us about certain features of the map, like the new heat pack feature, which allows you to run through the water like if it was actual ground, a huge problem on the Call of the Dead that is fixed on this map. Nikolai will also tell us about the golden Pack-a-Punch machine. Yes, a golden Pack-a-Punch machine. After turning on the third power switch at the Group 935 facility, what you end up doing is if you go over to this flinger near the sun deck, when the lighthouse is pointing over to this area, stepping on this flinger will fling you to the golden Pack-a-Punch machine, in which the golden Pack-a-Punch pack-a-punches your gun 5 times at once for the price of 5,000 points. Treyarch knew that they kind of messed up a little bit with needing to pack-a-punch your gun 5 times, so this golden Pack-a-Punch machine serves as a little bit of an apology for that, because when you get here, it's also a mini lockdown where you need to survive for about 3 minutes against infinitely spawning zombies that all give you points. This is just a really cool feature because after you're done, you just get flung back to the map like nothing happened. You can do it again and again and again whenever the lighthouse is actually pointing at that lone iceberg across the map. This also means roaming Pack-a-Punch is back, which I hate, but it's from Call of the Dead, so I guess I can let it slide a little bit, especially since running in this game is a lot faster than it was in Black Ops 1, and the roaming PAP is not as bad as on something like Blood of the Dead. This map has done a lot right so far, and something else I feel like it did right is the wonder weapons on this map. There's 3 of them to be precise. We have the Thunder Gun, the Wonderwaff Sharpshooter, and then the Tundra Gun. The Thunder Gun is exactly what it sounds like, it's just the Thunder Gun with completely new animations, by the way. The Tundra Gun is pretty much just a Thunder Gun, but it's an ice variation of the Thunder Gun. It's just as good as the Thunder Gun, but it's a lot easier to get. It does have splash damage, however, with the addition of PhD inside of Black Ops 4, this thing is really a force to be reckoned with. After a patch, of course. When this map came out, this thing was absolutely terrible, but now it's infinite damage. It can get you to high rounds. The Tundra Gun is a very welcome addition on this map, with the same awesome animations that the Thunder Gun has. We have the Wonderwaff sharpshooter, which is just the Wonder Waff, that shoots yellow bullets, has a scope, and has a really good headshot multiplier. I feel like the original Wonder Waff is a little better. This one doesn't feel like it packs as much of a punch, but it's super easy to obtain, as you need to go find a lone icicle hanging from a part of the map, shoot it down, pick it up, put it in this little pot at the end of the boat, wait for it to melt, bring it up to the Group 935 facility, use the key that came from it to open up the safe. It will reveal the Vril device. Yes, we actually get another reference to the Vril device, and we actually get to use it in this map. Just fill it up with zombie souls and bring it over to the Hermit, who is a new feature on this map. He will give you a key, and you can open a crate to get the Wonder Waff sharpshooter. It's super easy and fun. And while it's not anything special, it is a wonder weapon, so it is just worst of the best. As I was talking about the Hermit really doesn't do anything special, but the Hermit is headlining the challenges on this map, which also make a return. All the challenge dummies are what they sound like. They're all just challenges that never change. However, the third challenge of each challenge dummy is a very unique type of challenge where you need to like fill in an SOS message with snowballs or cook the Hermit some soup. There are some very questionable versions of these challenges, but for what they are, they're really good because you can get a free self-revive from one of them. Carpenters, you can get an ice pick to break ice faster if you stand in the water too long. You just get a lot of helpful bonuses, and if you complete all 6 challenges, you get a free thunder gun, which is insane. A great reward because the thunder gun's rate in the box is very low on this map. Speaking of wonder weapons, we actually have the return of the Matryoshka dolls, which are just as good as they were on Call of the Dead. However, they take up the spot of your normal grenade, so you probably wouldn't use them. However, with the health cap zombies, they could find some use if the Samantha boxes weren't on this map. Doing a very simple lockdown up at the Group 935 facility, you can obtain the Samantha music box. The Samantha music box is very cool, as when you get it, you actually get 3 charges, and whenever you use it, you get a Samantha music box out, you throw it on the ground, and Samantha literally rises out from a portal, absorbs every zombie in the vicinity, does a shockwave explosion, sends the zombie flying across the map. Unfortunately, any zombies walking into the radius will not get affected, only the ones currently there at the time the box was thrown. But this wonder gadget is one of the coolest wonder gadgets, if not the coolest wonder gadget we have on any of the zombies map, and it's something you want to get every single time because it is required for this map's main quest. Speaking of the map's main quest, something else required for this is snowballs. So yeah, snowballs. These are very simple in premise. You just throw a snowball at a zombie. However, getting a headshot one-shots someone any round, which is crazy. And killing fire zombies with these allows you to get dynamite pieces to build dynamite, as you can build infinite of them. It should also be mentioned, if you pick up all 3 dynamite pieces, fire zombies stop spawning, which is always nice. Something else that is fantastic is something that was alluded to, and that's this map's main quest. The first thing you want to do is actually interact with the Hermit at the top of the lighthouse, by handing him, of course, the 115 rock and getting Pack-a-Punch on. The next thing you want to do is actually fully complete 2 challenge podiums. These are very easy. Pick any 2 and then just roll with that, and after you complete the 2 challenge podiums, you're actually on the next step. What you're going to end up wanting to do is go back to the lighthouse and take 4 dials the Hermit gives you, and then bring them to the artifact storage area. This is where the Apothecon blood is, by the way. Once again, there's about 800 radios about this, and there's a huge part of lore about it, which is really cool stuff. What you're going to end up wanting to do, though, is where the jug area originally was. You just got to place these dials on the wall here. What you're normally supposed to do is look around the map for numbers, but you can just do trial and error, and then when you hear a ding, you just do this on all 4 dials, and then you're done. Very fun, easy step. Next thing you want to do is you'll actually be able to hear the Apothecon blood talk to you. The Apothecon blood will tell you 3 locations you need to go to find 3 offerings. The locations are random, but there's only about 15 locations the Apothecon can give you. So if you played this map enough, you can learn all the locations without a guide. And some of them are very clever riddles, like where feet slip. That's obviously the ice slide. Anyway, though, after you find the 3 offerings, what you need to do now is actually build the dynamite pack, and then you need to find the seal of duality. The Apothecon will give you 1 of 4 locations you need to go to, and just go to one of those 4 locations, use the dynamite bomb to blow up the safe, and then pick up the seal of duality. Anyway, though, after you pick up the seal of duality, what you end up needing to do now is go down to the Apothecon blood area and then place the seal of duality down. What's going to end up happening now is the Apothecon blood will actually get angry and start moving around. You need to shoot it 3 times until the screen goes white, and then you need to go around the map and find 3 small orange orbs. These small orange orbs, while this step would be terrible, they have set locations, and there's only so many locations they can be, one of them always being at the Group 935 facility. As long as you don't get too close to these guys, they won't go away. You just need to throw a snowball at them and shoot them. This step shouldn't take you too long. Anyway, though, after you find the 3 orbs, go back to of course, the artifact storage area, and then look up. You'll see the 3 orbs. You gotta hit them with snowballs again, and then shoot them into the seal of duality, and then go behind where one of the Pack-a-Punch locations are, and then go to this campfire. And the next step is actually to use the Samantha music box on the campfire that you place the seal of duality on. After this, it'll purify it, in which you'll hear a bunch of dialogue with Primus and Ultimus talking about various topics. After this, you need to pick up the seal of duality, and then go up to the top of the lighthouse where you'll get some soapstones from the Hermit. What you end up needing to do now is place them on the ground behind the lighthouse. You then need to use a new type of trap on this map called the lighthouse trap, which just shoots a giant laser at zombies, which is really cool and effective, kind of like the Gigant Eye trap, and then it'll heat up these soapstones. What you need to do now is, after the trap is off, pick them them up, and then go up to the Group 935 facility, and then place one of these soapstones in this giant machine right here. Anyway, after you place one of those soapstones in the machine, you need to go up to this new trap here called the water trap or the ice trap, and place it down on the floor, then turn it on. Then after this trap is finished, it'll cool off the soapstone, and then place it back into the machine with the firestone. This will complete this Easter egg step. After this happens, you'll be able to pick up a fuse, and then you need to go down to the original Call of the Dead Easter egg door, and then place your fuse inside of this. What's going to end up happening is the door's supposed to open, however the batteries will actually short out, and you'll need to actually get the new Wonder Waff. Just shoot 2 batteries here, and then that you're pretty much finished. You don't need the Wonder Waff anymore. What you end up needing to do next is actually power 3 generators around the map. You need to kill 3 electric zombies at 3 specific points in the map. It's very easy to do, especially if you save the free perk Easter egg to get a free electric zombies round. After this though, if you interact with the door again, it'll actually open, and the elemental shard, yes, the elemental shard will be behind the door, and you can pick that up. After this, you need to do the orb step again. After this, you pick up the Seal of Duality, then go back to the top of the lighthouse. Handing the Seal of Duality up to the Hermit will start a lockdown for 2 minutes straight. As long as you're camping, or you can even move around, as long as you're training the zombies and killing them when you see them, you should have no trouble with this step. Very good step overall. After this happens, though, you need to actually pick up the charged up Seal of Duality and then put it into the Pack-a-Punch machines at 4 locations around the map, and starting whatever order the Hermit shows you the locations at. After placing the artifact in the Pack-a-Punch machine, you just need to get some kills around it. You need to do this with 3 other Pack-a-Punch locations around the map. After you get all 4 locations, what you'll end up needing to do now is repeat the orb step again. But thankfully, you only need to do the step where you need to shoot the orbs into the Seal of Duality, which is really nice. And then do the campfire step again with the Samantha boxes, but you'll have new dialogue as well. Now you're actually on the boss fight, so make sure you're prepared and have everything. It should be noted you can't Pack-a-Punch, all the machines are actually broken. So what you're going to end up needing to do is go to the golden Pack-a-Punch machine, as the lighthouse will be here. It should be noted there is a small chance a glitch can happen where the lighthouse will not point to the golden Pack-a-Punch machine, and it'll break the entire Easter egg. This is very uncommon, but it is something that can happen. I've had it happen to me one time, and it was very frustrating when it happened. Anyway, though, what you end up needing to do now is just get 25 kills around the Pack-a-Punch machine, in which you'll see the Agarthan device reveal itself and rise into the sky, in which it will completely alter the entire map around you into a fiery hellscape. This is insane. The entire map changes from a cold, silent, frozen wasteland to a burning hot lava fire aesthetic. The entire map is redesigned for this entire step, and that is some of the coolest shit ever. Anyway, though, what you need to do is actually an escort step. You need to stay within the orb and make sure you don't end up getting yourself killed during this step. You just gotta kill any zombies that are thrown at you until the orb eventually stops at a location, which you're gonna need to charge it up with about 15 zombie souls. After you end up finishing the step, a nuke power-up will drop on your body, similar to that Ascension step, and also a max ammo and Carpenter will spawn. What you end up needing to do now is you're going to need to follow the Agarthan device through the bottom part of the ship. This gets really difficult because all water is actually replaced with lava, and then some very easy to miss rocks will actually spawn out of the ground, at which you need to hop on them. This gets very difficult though because the lava damages you, and with the increasing amount of zombies, you can easily go down on the step. You just need to keep following the orb until eventually you'll stop again near the entrance to the lighthouse. After this, you're going to need to follow the Agarthan device up the lighthouse. This gets extremely difficult because now it's extremely cramped. There's tons of zombies, and if you're outside the orb, you start taking damage. What you're going to end up doing now is you're going to get to the top of the lighthouse, in which the Agarthan device is going to start going across the map and the zip line. No matter what you do, you're going to start taking damage here. So you need to make sure you plan your escape and using the zip line at a time where your health regen will actually start when you get back inside the Agarthan device. This is a bit of strategy involved step. You got to make sure you don't get yourself killed here. After reaching the Group 935 facility, follow the Agarthan device, and eventually you'll end up in the middle, where you got pretty much the Samantha boxes, where you got the fuse, where you turn on the third power switch. You just need to eventually get to this area, and then a third lockdown will start. You just need to get a bunch of kills again. However, the circle is going to begin shrinking as you kill zombies. It gets extremely difficult because, once again, being outside the circle makes it so you take damage, and you need to make sure you have your specialist for this. You need to kill as many zombies as you can, as fast as you can, as the circle shrinks and shrinks and shrinks and shrinks, and then a unique Easter egg song begins playing, a guitar solo that goes absolutely ham. You just need to keep killing zombies, keep killing zombies, keep killing zombies, or the circle just shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. As the circle shrinks, it gets really, really small. The music and entire graphics of the game are going to go muffled, and eventually, after one last hurrah, and this step is so easy to go down on if you don't have Dying Wish or something. You can even die here. You need to keep killing zombies and killing zombies until it just ends. The screen goes white, and then you hear some awesome dialogue from Primus and Ultimus.
Do you remember when I asked you what you really want?
We remember. But why do you ask this now?
Because the Great War? No. The greatest war is the one we fight against ourselves.
After this awesome dialogue sequence, you can actually pick up the Agarthan device and head outside. The entire map is empty. There's no more zombies. The zombies are completely gone. You can run around the map freely. There's nothing stopping you. You want to just go explore? You want to look around the map that is now completely redesigned? Go for it. Do whatever you want. You can do anything. No zombies will ever spawn. But what you're really supposed to do here is go up to the lighthouse, where you can actually talk to the hermit and hand him the Agarthan device. What you need to now do is go to the sun deck, and what you'll see, the lighthouse open up a giant portal in the sky, and then you'll see the hermit rise from this light. What ends up happening now is that the hermit reveals himself to be Pablo, and he talks about going to fight in the Great War. As we all know, as there is a lot of lore on Pablo helping Richtofen actually get the blood of the dead and helping him build a teleporter, and Richtofen actually saving Pablo from a Margwa. As Pablo rises, he talks about what he wants to do and how he wants to save the universe before eventually leaving the Agarthan device for you to go pick up at the end of the boat. After you pick up the Agarthan device, the outro cutscene commences. The story. Yes, I am aware I haven't talked about the story. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So after the events of Alpha Omega, Primus and Ultimus arrive at this frozen forest type of area, like from Black Ops 3. They sit down and rest before the battle ahead. Nikolai asks them what they really want. The thing is though, they need an Agarthan device in order to be able to win in the war. Or so we think. We all know how this goes, so let's just get into it. What really ends up happening is Nikolai unfortunately poisons the drinks of Ultimus and Primus, sadly killing them. They unfortunately cannot live, and this is for a very specific reason that we will get into. After poisoning Ultimus and Primus' drinks, Nikolai has zombie Richtofen, which has awakened from Ultimus Richtofen after getting poisoned, to awaken Victus from the Blood of the Dead lab. After they awaken, they get sent to the Siberian facility from Call of the Dead. What they end up doing here is they meet a hermit, which we all know is Pablo, and when they meet the hermit, they just gotta do a bunch of tasks around the map to build up the Agarthan device. Retrieving some key artifacts like the Vril device, the Seal of Duality, the Elemental Shard. We have all these necessary components that go into building the Agarthan device. Eventually they build it and then send the Agarthan device over to Nikolai. After receiving the Agarthan device, he places the summoning key over the Agarthan device, thus destroying it. With the summoning key destroyed, the entirety of the ether is banished to the place below creation, the Dark Ether. But before this happens, we get a shot of Victus asking if they have been forgotten about, as they have not heard from Richtofen in a hot minute. They say they built the Agarthan device. Richtofen acknowledges that they did build it, and he apologizes that they did. However, Nikolai follows the statement and then pulls the trigger, killing Ultimus Richtofen. After this, Nikolai tells us why Primus and Ultimus and the universe at large could not continue to exist.
We fought for what we wanted. We got more than we deserved. All the chapters of our lives, good and bad. Even if there was no witness, even if no one cared to see. It still happened. Somewhere. We fought the Great War over and over, but victory could never be ours. We were always doomed to fail. Monty told us the truth. Our journey is the very reason this madness exists. We are the ones who fractured the universe. This is the truth the Chronorium showed me. The truth Richtofen could no longer face.
Their very existence has been bound to the Elemental Shard, and thus being bound to the Ether at this point. No matter how many times they go through the cycle, they will always lose. They cannot defeat Dr. Monty. Dr. Monty will always send them back to the Great War at the end of Revelations. They will always have to get the blood vial. They will always drink the blood vials. The cycle will go on forever and ever and ever. This is done so Monty can keep living. In order for the universe to be put at peace, Nikolai had to do what he had to do, and then banish the entire universe into the Dark Ether. After telling us this, we get a shot of what happened to Primus and Ultimus after they were poisoned.
We should not be here. Our time has passed. But for all the pain and torment we have endured together, as we leave this life behind, it is my hope that you know one thing beyond any doubt.
After this, Nikolai hands Samantha the gun he used to kill Richtofen, saying that only she could do it. Nikolai, of course, is asking her to shoot him, and after a lot of hesitation, she eventually does. The next shot cuts to a campfire of Nikolai telling us that Ultimus and Primus weren't just his brothers in arms, his allies, but they were his friends.
You are more than just my allies. My brothers in arms. You were my friends.
And then after this, we cut to a scene of Samantha and Eddie walking toward a new universe. As they walk, we hear Ultimus and Primus tell us what they really want. If we remember when Nikolai said that when they first got there. This is what they wanted if they were allowed to continue living.
I would like to return to my home, my beloved, before the bombs fell. If only to die by her side.
I see myself at peace, serene, sitting beneath a cherry blossom tree, listening to the joy of my children at play.
I think I'd like to teach medicine, maybe pathology.
You know, the more I think about it, the more I think I'd be a darn good DI. Get those kids toughened up.
I would like to be in favorite bar, but as long as I have vodka, I am a happy man.
I would like to know for sure that I brought honor to my ancestors and the Emperor.
I should probably try to relax. Take up a hobby. Maybe I could open my own morgue.
Let me think about it. Wherever I go, you know I'll be kicking ass.
After we hear this, Samantha and Eddie walk off into a new universe, free of corruption, until Cold War comes out a year later and completely throws all that out the window. So yes, the story was absolutely fantastic. It was supposed to be the ending to Ether, but, you know, it wasn't. Except all our characters died for no reason, because it all comes back in Cold War and Vanguard being the canonical next game after this. So, you know, that's great. All our characters had to die, just so Vanguard could exist. Definitely very sad stuff, though. The story hits really hard. It's a very sad story, you know. It sucks it had to be this way. At least Primus went out with sort of a bang. Nikolai took matters into his own hands and did what he had to do. He had to carry the burden that Richtofen gave to him when he got the Chronorium, and he acted out his duty as the leader of the group and performed what needed to be done. And I think the story did a fantastic job of telling us that. The 2D slideshow works really well here. Yeah, sure, it'd be better animated, but I think the 2D slideshow works very well. All in all, I think they did a great job wrapping up the Ether story. And while I was clowning on Vanguard and a little bit of Cold War, I am glad both of the games exist. I'm glad Ether has come back to some extent, but I just question why they even went with the route of killing all the characters if they were just going to bring Ether back. Don't get me wrong, I'm really happy Ether's in those games, but it kind of comes off as weird to me. I mean, as we all know, Richtofen comes back in Cold War, so that's pretty cool, but I just always found that kind of odd. Anyway, though, both of those games, whatever, you know, I like Cold War, Vanguard, you know, Vanguard. I'm glad both games exist. I'm glad both games kind of continue Ether, and yeah, no shade thrown to those two games. I was just joking around, but anyway, this leads us to the con section. There's actually not much here. There's some Easter egg steps, and of course, the fact that the VR11 and Scavenger are nowhere to be found on this map. We don't get the VR11 or Scavenger, unfortunately. We get those 3 new Wonder Weapons, at least. I meant new in quotation marks, but they have new animations, and they're different designs, minus the Thunder Gun, but it has new animations, so. Honestly, I think the Wonder Weapons are fine. I definitely think it's a bummer those guns aren't on this map. Another problem is, of course, some of the Easter egg steps. The one with the offerings is kind of ridiculous with the amount of locations there are. Some don't really make sense. You actually need 2 pieces of dynamite if you get a certain offering location, which is a little stupid in my opinion. I also think it's dumb how you need the Wonder Waff for literally 5 seconds in the Easter egg, and I think doing doing that stupid orb step 2 different times is ridiculous and just pads out the Easter egg. They really couldn't have just swallowed their pride for the last map. Anyway, though, this map was fantastic. It's not my favorite. It's definitely up there as one of my favorites, especially in BO4. This map did what it needed to do. It ended the Ether story on a very sad but understandable note. But yeah, that's it. I like Tiger Toten. It's a great map, and a lot of people like this map too. They don't hate it. They don't love it either, but this is an average map for most people. Thankfully leaning towards the upper tiers. For me, it is an upper tier map. And this map, for being the end of the Ether story, did what it had to do, and I think it did what it had to do extremely well.